The pasodoble, which means double step, is a dance based on the movements of a bullfighter in the bull ring. Surrounded by a group of men, a señorita flirtatiously wields her fan, using it to emphasize a point. Originating from Spain, this dance has been a regular part of the social dance repertoire in Spanish-speaking countries and in Europe since 1918. The movements of the women and the men are done simultaneously. The woman wields her fan as she turns to make a pose. The men pose elegantly to catch her attention. Starting with the right foot, the men walk clockwise around the village lass called a señorita. The men curtsy in respect for the woman by kneeling on their left knee. With their left hands, they raise up their hats. Then the men turn right in place. The men then walk to their respective positions to show off to the woman. All together, they display the Castilian form of dancing, characterized by steps, points, turns, and grapevines. The three succeeding movements are the many ways in which the men show off to the señorita in the hope of winning her heart. The woman responds by complimenting the men on what they are doing. The men execute two cross-sangig steps with a turn to the left and right. A sangig is done by crossing one leg over the other, then taking a step while circling the other foot inward off the floor. They then do the zapatillado, or a quick stamping of the foot. They cross-step behind, then repeat the zapatillado. They kick their cane backward. The cane ends up clipped under their arms, and the men proceed to walk to their places. One of the men hands his cane over to another man to allow him more freedom with the use of his hands. He does the salok movement. He then takes a step to the side with one leg and crosses the other over in front. This is called the grapevine movement, and he executes this twice with a turn to the right. He does the zapatillado. The man then gets his cane and joins the other men. The men kick their canes sideward and hold both ends. They place the cane in front of them. They stamp twice. They then circle the cane around while their left hand is on their waist. They make a step and full turn to the right. They do a step brush on the right leg with their left arm overhead as they look at the woman admiringly. Clipping the cane with their right arm, they hold their hat with their left. Then they walk to meet on one side. Now it's the woman's turn to show off using her fan. She flirtatiously goes over to the men to tease them. In unison, the men do the zapatillado as the woman weaves through the line of men. Here, the movements of the men are reminiscent of the Spanish flamenco as indicated by the stamping of the feet. The men repeat an earlier sequence. They then circle the cane around while their left hand is on their waist. They turn in place and stamp on one leg as they raise the other. One arm is overhead while the other holds the cane. They do the grapevine with a turn starting from the rear. While raising the right leg in front, they step with the left foot forward, then hop on the same leg. They do this while moving in a half circle facing the center. Their arms are parallel to each other, holding the cane at chest level close to the body. The end sequence begins with the dancers going to an inverted U formation with the woman in the center. The men do a sangig to their left. The woman ends with a pose with the left hand on her waist, characterizing a high-class señorita. The woman enters holding the fan close to her chest. Her left hand holds her skirt, then she turns to the right. She raises her right arm and opens her fan in a pose. The woman steps with her left foot and kicks the trail of her dress with the right. She walks in the opposite direction of the men as she extends her right arm, acknowledging them. She turns to the right twice. She does a step brush, then walks around wielding her fan. She then closes the fan and executes a step brush to the left and right. She does a grapevine to the right and turns to the right. She repeats this in the opposite direction. She executes a step point and turns to the right. The woman walks around to the next partner while wielding her fan. She turns to the right twice. She does a salok to the right and left. With her back to her partner's back, she executes the habanera step. She does a grapevine to the right, holding the fan close to her chest. She then turns to the right and opens the fan above her head. She repeats this. She does a step-close step in place and steps to the right. The woman kicks her right foot forward as her right arm extends backward. She walks to meet her next partner. She turns twice with her right arm up and the left on her skirt. She kneels on her right knee, holding the fan close to her chest. She then flirtatiously walks around the men to tease them. She turns to the right. She walks and then poses as she does step points with her right hand fanning and raised overhead. She executes a grapevine to the right, holding the fan close to her chest. She turns and opens the fan overhead. She repeats this. The woman kicks the trail of her dress with her left. She kneels on her right knee with her right arm fanning overhead. She stands and walks around. She turns to the right twice. With her left arm forward and the right arm overhead, she steps to the right and kicks her left foot sideward. She walks to the center with her right hand wielding her fan. She turns to the right with her right arm overhead and the wrists turning. She does the grapevine twice to the right with the right hand holding the fan close to her chest and the left holding her skirt. She does a salok to the left and right. She does a final pose.